Hello, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see here, sort of on the Jersey Quest franchise mode, so let's quickly introduce player, team, jersey, and all that good stuff. So as you can see, we're in NHL 20 with the Boston Bruins. So if you've been kind of following along the past couple, and you know the theme we're going with here, we're probably gonna have a pretty good guess at who the player is, but let's get in here. So I guess I wasn't expecting this. I thought this was pre-coaches in the game, but I guess this is was the initial year coaches were a thing was NHL 20. But obviously, X Factors, because I was like NHL 22 or 21. No, I think it was 22 because I had like all the footage of them like in the reverse retros doing all like the fancy moves and stuff. So it was NHL 22. Yes, this is the first year of coaches, but you like scrolling around the forwards here, it's none of the forwards. It is if we go to goalies here. Jersey Quest player is Jaroslav Halák. He obviously was Islanders goaltender for a solid handful of years, and then moved on to Boston afterwards. And while in Boston during the 2019-20 season, he played his 500th game on December 3rd, 2019 versus Carolina. It was a 2-0 shutout. So the jersey is the home jersey, kind of the classic, black and gold Bruins jersey. In terms of his career, while he's the next goalie up, he played a total of 581 games in his career. So he's kind of the third goalie to hit past the 500 mark who was an Islander at one point in their career. That I guess wasn't. That's actually not true because Chico Rush played over 500 games, but he was obviously like played in the 80s, 70s, 80s and stuff. So that was like obviously no games back then, so we can't really do that on here. So Halak is the next one up at 581. But yeah, so Halak in the home jersey. So in terms of expectations this first season, so this is obviously the season that got shortened due to the outburst of outbreak of COVID-19, which was terrible time. But so it's going to be a little funky, but the Bruins did technically win the President's Trophy the 2019-20 season with like a 714 points percentage that year. So we should make the playoffs, and they made the playoffs in the bubble, and then beat the Hurricanes in the first round, and then got dumped on by Tampa, who obviously eventually won the Cup. So we should, like I said, make the playoffs in this one, and then make it to the second round in this first season. And then I don't know how many years are left in the Clock's contract here, because he obviously played like 3 more seasons after this one, and like much reduced workload. Obviously, this first season, I guess the second season, my first season after wasn't that reduced because it's the COVID shortened season, so it's probably like a relatively similar percentage of the games. But after the 2021 season, he left Boston and then bounced to Vancouver and the Rangers, unfortunately. But his 500th was with Boston, so should be a fun, interesting, fun one here. Playing a little goaltender gameplay when I play the games should be fun. But yeah, so I think that's kind of it for the intro. So I'll stop talking for now. When I start talking again, it'll be the 2019-20 season recap. See if the Bruins can kind of make it to back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals here. Okay, so as you can see here, at the end of the 2019-20 season, and we have won the Stanley Cup in our first year as Boston Bruins Jersey Quest franchise mode. So it's gonna kind of recap the season, how we got to this point, and won the Stanley Cup in this first season. So yeah, let's get into it. So looking at the regular season, see we finished with a 52-24-6 record, which was good for 110 points and first in the Atlantic Division. So as this was like the COVID shortened, like the initial COVID shortened season, basically what I did is I tried to match the result. Like I matched the results until the point that COVID had stopped the season. They didn't play the last 10 or 11 games of the regular season. And then what I did was, because obviously Boston won the President's Trophy that year and we're first in the Atlantic / the Eastern Conference, I basically tried to make sure they stayed that way. So the biggest chase was Florida, finished second with 107 in the Atlantic. So it was basically trying to match their results and keep at least a couple points ahead of them, and finish the season with 110 points. In terms of goals for per game, 3.22, goals against 2.62. In terms of scoring, as you can see here, Brad Marchand was our leading scorer with 42 goals, 40 assists for 82 points. And that perfection line with him and Pastrnak and Bergeron was cooking. So they are our leading scorers, and we had basically some good contributions up and down the lineup. So we got second line, third line forwards kind of dominating the rest of the top 10 scoring here for us in terms of Halak's stats. So he ended up playing a lot of games because Tuukka Rask got hurt like a bunch of different, like at least 2 or 3 different times throughout the season. Then I just basically turned off the auto rotate feature and just wrote Halak for the games that Rask was out injured. And as you can see here, he has an 892 save percentage, which is mostly down to me like trying to figure out how to play as a goalie like the first couple of games before we got ahead of their kind of results and stuff, and I was terrible at it, unsurprisingly, because it's like very funky playing goalie in the NHL games. But yeah, so he never really recovered from there, but I'd say pretty solid season overall in terms of wins and goals. See, because his goals against is what 2.77. That's not that bad. Like it's better than like probably an 892 save percentage, but doesn't really matter. And the next won the cup, so it's all good there. But yeah, that's the regular season. In terms of the playoffs, so as you can see here, we got matched against the Buffalo Sabres in round one, who were the second wild card in the East with 95 points in the regular season. So obviously that in the bubble, Boston beat Carolina in 5 in the first round. That's what happened here. So I played games 1, 3, 4, and 5, and then simmed game 2. Because game 2 is the game they lost. So we won game 1 6-1, game 2 5-4, and then games 3, 4, and 5 5-2, 5-3, and 6-1. To advance on and face the Florida Panthers. Like I said, we were chasing us most of the season, finished with 107 points in round 2. So that was where Boston got beat down in 5 by Tampa. So Boston won game 1, so I played game 1. Then every other game in the playoffs I simmed. So we won game 1 6-3. Then game 2 3-2. Florida caught a backload with a 5-4 win in game 3. Then we won the next 2 5-4 and 3-0 to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, where we got matched up against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who finished with 97 points and were the first wild card in the East. And as I simmed all these games, so Tampa won game 1 4-3. We then jumped out to a 3-1 series lead with 6-3, 5-3, and 3-0 wins. Tampa Bay then forced a game 7 with 4-3 and 3-2 wins, which I think one or even both of those were overtime. I don't know, the second one I think was definitely overtime. At least one of them was an overtime win. And I was like, oh dang, our run's going to come to an end. And then simmed to game 7 and we won 4-2. And I was like, yes, all right, we're in the cup final this first year. Let's keep the good mojo going. And then we got matched up against the Winnipeg Jets, who finished second in the Central with 105 points, behind the Colorado Avalanche, who had 114 points and were the President's Trophy winners. So then I was like, all right, let's see. Let's send the first 3 games. And we won 4-1, 2-1, and 4-3. So we were up 3-0. So I slow simmed game 4, and we lost 5-2 with Halak in net. And then game 5, with Halak in net, finished 2-2 after regulation. So now as you slow sim it, you can't really slow sim in overtime because if like Boston scored and wins, you can't like jump in then and get the footage of the like cup ceremony and all that good stuff. So I like hopped in and played the overtime and was able to, I think Halak made a couple of big saves on like Mark Scheifele and some of the other Winnipeg Jets players, and then was able to get on a breakaway with Brad Marchand, went forehand, backhand, and was able to lift it over the pads of Hellebuyck and win the Stanley Cup in overtime in Game 5. And went absolutely bananas. And then, yeah, so it was awesome. I don't know if you get to see the goal or not. Probably not. But you'll see like the cup celebration, all that good stuff at the end of the episode. But yeah, so we won the Stanley Cup in 5 games over the Winnipeg Jets. In terms of player scoring, so yeah, Priest Bergeron was, again, the perfection line was kind of carrying us pretty hard, unsurprisingly, in the playoffs. Bergeron with 7 goals, 24 assists, 31 points. And then Brad Marchand, absolute fiend, 20 goals, 8 assists for 28 points, including the cup winner in overtime. And then Pasta with 5 goals, 20 assists. So Marchand was like ended up being the goal scoring carry in that line in the playoffs, which is pretty crazy because you think it would be Pasta, but it wasn't. It was Brad Marchand. And then the kind of second line, kind of same situation. Second line, Torrey Krug, and then Charlie Coyle, like some third line guys, kind of spreading out the load a little bit after that. In terms of Halak's stats, so if you go to goalies, so he played all 5 games of round 1. That's 5. Game 1 of round 2. And then games 4 and 5 of the Cup Finals. That's how we got to 8. So 7 wins were. I don't understand how we got to 7. He must have. Does that make sense? Hold on. Trying to do the math. No, see, that adds up to 23. So he must have come in relief at one point, I'm guessing, one of these other games. Because if I try to do the math, right? Because he played games 1, 2. Oh, because he didn't. No, because he didn't play game 2 against Buffalo. He played games 1, 3. Sorry about this. I'm like trying to do mental math. So he played game 1, game 3, game 4, and game 5, and then game 1. So that's 5, and then game 6 and 7. So that's 7 total games, and that would have been 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so he must have come in relief in one of the other games and won. But yeah, much better playoff stats in the regular season. He had 7 wins, as I just figured out, with a .905 save percentage and 2.26 goals against. So definitely pretty solid playoff stats from Jaroslav Halák. And then Tuukka Rask kind of played with the rest of the other games that we simmed, with a pretty solid .914 and 2.57 goals against. So very excellent stats there. In terms of the awards, just slide over on my spreadsheet here. Yes, obviously we won the Stanley Cup. President's Trophy, as I said before, went to the Avalanche with 114 points. And then we played the Winnipeg Jets in the Cup final. As individual awards, Nathan MacKinnon won the Art Ross with 111 points. He was there's like 3 players who had over 100, and then like a couple of players in the 90s and the rest like upper 80s. So kind of interesting spread of scoring there. But yeah, Nathan MacKinnon with 111 points. So he kind of scooped up most of the awards here. So he won obviously the Art Ross, the Hart. Norris went to Dougie Hamilton of the Carolina Hurricanes. Lady Byng went to MacKinnon. Calder went to Jack Hughes. Not really a surprise there. As I kind of said, Priest Bergeron went to Conn Smythe with 31 points. Vezina went to Vezina and the Jennings went to Freddie Anderson of the Leafs. Masterton went to Colton Parayko. Jack Adams went to the Sharks coach. They finished 3rd in the Pacific, I think. Yeah, with 96 points. Sorry about that. Selke went to Ryan O'Reilly, not really a surprise there. And then the Lindsay and the Rocket Richard went to Nathan MacKinnon. It was kind of a funky season, though, in terms of this top 10 scoring. So as I said, it was like 3 guys with over 100, a couple in the 90s, and then like 4 in the upper 80s. But like 9 of the top 10 scorers were from the Western Conference, besides Sidney Crosby, who finished with 93 points, who was 5th in scoring. All the other 9 guys were all from from Western Conference teams, which is pretty interesting tidbit to note there. But yeah, I think it's kind of, we covered everything, I think, pretty much, because we got regular season and playoffs and everything, I think. All right, so I'm just going to, I guess, pull up our Halák stats here. There he is, that beauty. So yeah, so this is a successful Jersey Quest franchise mode here, which is pretty exciting. Kind of just one and done one season, which is a lot of fun, which doesn't really surprise, I guess, considering how in the regular season how dominant that Boston Bruins team was. In 2019-20, they kind of probably got screwed over pretty hard by the fact, obviously, that the horrible COVID-19 pandemic happened and it kind of interrupted the season midway. Because I think if the season had just continued normally, I wouldn't be surprised if they would have went on to, I don't know, I guess you never know because the whole President's Trophy cursed, quote unquote, if they would have went on to win the Cup or not. But I think they would have been in a much better spot than they were after the kind of big delay and everything, and then into the bubble. But yeah, we were able to kind of basically made me kind of do a what if scenario here in this Jersey Quest franchise. Was what would have happened if the COVID-19 pandemic hadn't interrupted the season. Boston might have gone on and won the Cup like this. But yeah, pretty fun one. So next thing on the channel will be another Kit Quest career mode. We'll probably, again, probably one FIFA 21 one with someone from the Europa League winning squad, most likely. But after that, it should be more FGO, I think. Kind of more not necessarily moving along the story, but more FGO content after that. So hopefully that'll be fun as well. But yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this series. This video, and you'll check out the Kit Quest career mode next as well. So yeah, thank you. Hopefully at the end here will be the little kind of footage of the Cup kind of ceremony and stuff as well. So thank you.
They won the Stanley Cup! Just incredible jubilation to win it, but to win it like this, they are going wild. You know, in a moment like this, Ray, you've been around this game for decades. Who comes to mind when you look at all the guys jumping out on the ice celebrating right now? Who do you think of in these moments?
Well, for me, it was Bobby Orr and his famous picture going
flying through the air against the St. Louis Blues. That's the one that always comes to mind. The most iconic photo, I believe, in the Stanley Cup Finals in the history of the game.
Hard-fought series by both teams, but one's going on and one's going home.
One half of that line is a heck of a lot happier than the other as they get to go through as winners.
It's funny, it's a beautiful trophy, your playoff MVP, and yet nobody seems to really want to hold on to it, Ray.
No, because everybody in the building, including the players, is waiting for the next one to be out there and to be presented. And that, of course, is the Stanley Cup.
When you get called out by the commissioner, this is the one time it's okay for the league office to call you out, isn't it?
It is. What a fantastic celebration every year when you see the first player to get to the trophy just throw it up over his head. How happy they are, how elated they are that it's all over.
Ray, you're right down there at the ice. Give me a sense of the emotion.
Well, everybody's just babbling away there. It's like nobody's really making any sense. They're so excited, hug on to each other. They're looking at the trophy. They can't wait for their turn to carry it around the ice.
I got goosebumps even up here. The team picture, this is something that 99 started, did he not?
Yeah, I believe it was his last year in Edmonton where they won, called everybody together. What an unreal photo to have.